So in this step I'm going to show you guys how to solder the LED strip and how to prepare it. So the LED strip is going to go in this groove, but we can't just sit it in there because it'll be flimsy, it'll move around. We want it to be on something solid. So we cut out a piece of acrylic which can fit in this groove. It just sits in there and you can just push it in and it just sits in place and it doesn't move. Once you put your cover on the bottom piece on the bottom here, it will just keep it in place and it won't move. So what we need to do is cut a scrap piece of acrylic to the size of this groove. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure how wide the groove is. It's telling me it's about 10, maybe 9 millimeters. And I'm going to set this tool here, this is called a marking gauge. I'm going to set it to 9 mil. I'll set it to 9 mil. And then what I can do is scratch or scribe this mark down here. Okay, that's going to give me my width. The next thing I want to do is find out how long it's going to be. So it's about, all up it's about 160, but it curves around the edges, so I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make it about 54 mils. Okay, so I come in here, 54, and I can just use, if I take this off, use this as a scriber and just mark out a rough mark where the ending is. Kind of hard to see in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bandsaw, I'm going to cut this, and then I'll probably get my material, come up here, just check it, make sure my measurement's right, and then just cut the end off, okay? Don't worry if it's not perfect, do the best you can. The next part, my LED strip, it has this double-sided tape on the back of it. So if I pull it off like a sticky plaster or something, I can take off this backing and then stick the strip onto the center of my acrylic. So I should have a strip. My strip should look like that. Now I should be able to push it in and fit it in like that, okay? Still looking a bit wide, but I can use a sander or a file to smooth it down. I'll probably put it up to the electric sander to make it smaller if it doesn't fit. It's better to be a little bit bigger than too small. Okay, once you've got your strip on here, now we're ready to tin 2 pieces of solder onto the end. Now when, you might want to get a close-up of this, when we're soldering on our LED strip, you have to look real carefully. There's a little plus, it says plus 12 volt and then a minus sign, okay? When we're working with electronics, we use the red as our plus or our positive, the black is our negative or the minus sign, okay? So we've got positive, negative, and then you've got positive and negative on here. If you get it around the wrong way, it won't work, okay? And you might spend all this time soldering and figure out, oh, I did it, it doesn't work anymore. So the first thing we're going to do is just tin on to these 2 round parts at the end. These are the terminals. So again, we just put a little blob. It shouldn't be too hard. 1, 2, okay? That's all you need. Next I'm going to use this tool to hold my cables. I'm going to tin the end of these cables like we did before. Right. And then the black is the negative, so I'm going on to the negative. And then move this over here. The red is the positive. So see how easy it is once you've already tinned, it goes straight on. Now what I should be able to do now is get a test battery, plug it in, or try to fit it on. Okay, I'm just going to hold it on. I can test my switch. Okay, so it's all good. I'll check my connections, so I'll just do a little tug on the cables to see if there's any loose connections, okay? Because you don't want to put it all in, screw it up, and then realize that it's got a loose connection. It doesn't work all the time, okay? So just check all your connections, and if any are loose, you'll just have to resolder them again, okay? But that's looking solid. And the last thing you want to do is get your LED strip to fit into that groove. So that's just the process of doing the LED strip. Sweet as.